Hi there, welcome back to my shop. This is, I'm pretty sure, the longest I've ever spent between videos. I was about half finished with this project when I came down with the flu or a horrible cold. I don't know what it was, but it knocked me off my feet for about 3 weeks. Spent an entire week in bed trying to get over it. My wife's a lot tougher than me. She spent 4 or 5 days sneezing, coughing, blowing her nose, but went around her work as usual. So I have to admit, she's a lot tougher than me. It just floored me. So got finally back to the point where I can stand up for a little while, do a little bit in the shop every day, and I managed to finish this piece. Now it's my first time piercing. I quite enjoyed it. It's not perfect. Nothing I ever do is perfect, but I like it. I'm pleased with it, and I learned a few things, and it's good to learn, so that's a good thing. Now I put together the system, this handpiece and all the air equipment based on a video I saw by Glenn Cox. It's a couple of years old, but he shows you everything you need to know about what to buy, where to buy it, how much it's going to cost you, and it's really worth seeing. I'm not going to try to go over that again. No use rebuilding the wheel. So I will put a link down below this video so you can find that video in case you're interested in trying this. So I hope you'll stick around, see how I came up with this, and enjoy. I have a blank I cut out of a timber. It's maple, 9 inches in diameter, a little under 2 inches thick. And as you can probably see, it's far from flat on this side, or on the back side for that matter, quite warped. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to true this up, put a tenon in it, and then start to shape it. Turning at 1000 RPM. I would like to leave this base this wide ordinarily, but because of this really ugly knot in here, I'm going to take it down a little smaller to right about there, just to try to take that out. Putting a straight edge across here to see how flat this is, and it is not. It's concave in here, so I'll have to take some from the outside and try to slowly straighten it out right down to that edge I've created. And I believe that will do it. I've got a little less than 2-inch rim there, and I'd really like more than that, so I'm going to take this down a little more here. And that's about all I'm going to get there. I'm going to sand this and then I'll be back. Decided I'm going to turn this all off here even. Turning at 1000 RPM. That's better. Now I'm just going to put finish on here, do my pyrography, signature, date, species, put in my logo coin, and then I'll be able to reverse this. I'm going to use wipe on poly and apply it with this applicator cloth. I'll be turning this bowl at 100 RPM. I'll let that spin there for a couple of minutes, then I'll take it to a less dusty environment and let it dry. I'll do 2 or 3 more coats and then I will be back. As you can see from the hole, this had been mounted on a woodworm screw. Now I'm going to bring my tail stock up for a little support when I start this. and I'll be turning the top of the bowl. There's quite a difference in the thickness here to here. So I want to straighten this out a little bit. I'll be turning at 1000 RPM and using my 3/8 inch bowl gouge. My plan is to turn this down the first 2 inches and leave most of this in here just to keep it the stability. It's got some strength in there because all that mass is left. So I'm just going to take this all down to about 1/4 inch thick. And I'm in about as far as I want to go now. I'll just start to get this a little bit thinner. I want to taper from here in. I want the outside to be left at 1/4 inch thick, just to maintain some stability out here. If I get the entire piece here down to the thickness that I want, it may start to want to whip around when it's turning. I'm hoping leaving a little bit on the outside thick will give some stability to this piece. I've clamped a board to the bottom part of this section of the bowl because I'm going to drill 3 small holes through here. When I start to get this real thin, looking in those holes will let me monitor just how thick it is. So now I'll drill these. I should have probably done it from the other side, but if you've seen me before, you know I never think of things until it's too late. And that board should have kept it from chipping out too badly in the back. I've chipped more than I want, but that's all right. Some of the piercing should take care of that. Now I want to get just a little bit thinner on here. That should be fine. I'm going to round this off in there and continue making this thinner in this area. I can really hear the difference as it gets thinner. The sound changes quite a lot. Now I have this set for just under 1/8 inch. So once it gets to the point where it's not touching on both sides, I'll know I'm probably getting very close to where I want to be. getting thinner and thinner, and I just want to round this a little bit, so I'm going to do it with this mini scraper. That's doing a very decent job. I'll continue with the gouge. Oh, it's well below that 1/8 inch thick now. It's time to start paying close attention. I don't want to get so thin that I just go right through this. That's about as thin as I dare go in that area. I'm going to carry on a little more now and bring this up to here. Alright, before I go any further on the bowl area, I'm going to sand this. As I start to lose this support, this will be tougher to do safely. Very thin there. I have this sanded now to 400 grit. Quite happy with it. Drilling these holes really gives you an idea of just how thin that is. I would not want to have to go any thinner in here. Now what I want to do is start turning this away where I'm going to create the bowl. And when I get down here and I want to start to turn this area, I'd want to keep my bevel off of here. It probably wouldn't do it any damage, but the thing is, when you're turning at a high speed, just touching the bevel to the wood can leave a bruise, which is really, really tough to get out, if not impossible. So I'll start turning this away now. I have pulled the tailstock out of the way now. I shouldn't need any support from it anymore. I'm going to take this nub off of here, and I want to start turning the bowl from right about where this mark is. Shear scrape this, or maybe just clean it up with sandpaper. Let's get started on this now. I'm going to sand this piece now, and do you notice that little nub right in the bottom? It's very, very small, but very obvious, and you can certainly feel it. The problem with those little things is that sometimes trying to turn them away, you can make it worse than if you just leave it alone. Trying to turn it again, I might make a little divot, which is even harder to get rid of. So what I like to do is just take a piece of sandpaper, whatever I start sanding with, and hold it just over top of that, and just gently sand it until it totally disappears. Works very well. I'm going to finish this side the same way as I did the bottom of the bowl with Minwax Wipe-On Poly. And when I started to do this, I was trying to decide whether I should put finish on it or just let it sit. Bare wood because of the piercing. I decided to go with the finish because it's a whole lot easier to put finish on this surface than anything that's going to be pierced. Even these small holes might make a difference. So I don't expect you to sit and want to watch this again since you've already seen me do it. I'll do this and then I'll be back when it's finished. I will do 3 or 4 coats again over the course of a day or two. I've got no reason to rush because I'm waiting for the piercing tool to arrive, and it's coming from China, so it might be a while. I've covered this area that I'm going to pierce with masking tape. I wasn't sure what to expect piercing through masking tape, so I put some on in this area, drew some little squiggles here, and then pierced that. I don't see any damage done in any way by the masking tape. It didn't burn the wood or anything. So now the only other thing I have to go through is the finish that I've put on here. And we'll see how that's going to work out. Now I've got a flat tool rest here, just made with a piece of plywood. And I just want to draw a circle all the way around in this area. And then one out here, just inside the thicker area. And I'm just going to approximately come in between them and draw 2 lines to put a bit of a barrier there between the 2 design elements. I've put my index wheel on here now so that I can draw lines using this tool rest straight across. And I want to do a line every 7.5 degrees. So I'll just take this out. Each of these holes on the outside ring is 2.5 degrees. If I come down 3, that'll give me my 7.5 degrees. Do the next line. And I'll carry around the outside doing the whole thing. It'll give me 48 divisions. And I don't necessarily have to use all 48, make the pieces that small, but it'll give me that option. You can probably see these little notches in the masking tape. That's because I pushed from behind a small finishing nail through those holes I had drilled to monitor the thickness of the wood. To get rid of all of those, I'm going to take this whole section out. Because I like to do things symmetrically, I've marked another one of these areas every 90 degrees all the way around, so there are 4 of them. I'll start by taking this out. Now my compressor is very small and very close to the lathe, so it's going to make noise almost right away. I'll mute the sound for you, and I'm hoping the camera will show this well. The wood is not as evenly thick all the way around as I thought it was going to be, but it's still cut not too badly. You could probably tell that it was burning as it was cutting. Going clockwise and going back over it counterclockwise, it helped to clean up some of that burning. So now I'm going to take this off the lathe and take it to a place that's a little more comfortable. Leaning over this is not a great way to cut. Cut some strips of sandpaper 1/2 inch wide so I can get into these spots. And then when I do the long sides, I'll just use a strip that's 1 inch wide. Alright, the piercing is finished. All I have left to do now is to remove all this masking tape. And as usual, I use the really cheap masking tape from the dollar store. It doesn't stick very well, which means it doesn't leave any residue. So I'll get all of this off, and I'll be back to show you the results. I should also mention, in case you haven't seen it before, I am really happy with this swivel base that I made. I'm able to move this into any position I want, so I can comfortably pierce, paint, or whatever I want to do with it. I can rotate it, it's on the chuck still, so if I need to I can put it back on the lathe. This was something I'm really glad I made. If you're interested, I'll put a link down below this video so you can find the video where I made this. Now I'll get this masking tape off and I'll be right back. And I am not unhappy. This was my very first time piercing, and I did learn a few things. You should learn something doing something for the first time. First of all, I should have turned it a little thinner. There are some places where piercing it worked just fine, but because I had to go slowly, I ended up with some burning inside the piercing. Not bad. I did my piercing clockwise, then went over it again counterclockwise, and that cleaned up some of that pretty well. Also, I don't think I would finish the piece again before I do the piercing. That's because there are some places where it's not perfect, and I think I could have sanded it by hand, made it a lot better, and then just dipped it in mineral oil, tongue oil, some kind of an oil finish, and that would be just fine. Part of the reason I use the swivel base is because I am very shaky, and so I need to use my left hand to support my right hand. Therefore, I can't just let this sit around. And I'm shaky enough that I actually had one little mishap, carved just a little bit right there, but as I said, it's my first try, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, I hope you learned something from this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll come back next time. In the meantime, have a great day in your shop. Be safe. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with others if you like, and click the like button. Take care now.